Now presenting Unnerdy by Nature Productions, Leroy Green, Michael Patterson, the two Negroes on your screen. What is it? What do I hear? Finally, we get, you get our Daredevil Born Again review. I
Yeah.
know, I know it's been a while. I
Hmm.
know that nobody's been asking for it. Nobody's been clamoring for it, but guess what? You got it anyway.
You're getting
So
it anyway.
you're getting it anyway. Shh, just let it happen.
Oh
Um,
God, no. That's not what I wanted to do,
hey,
but
they
okay.
clicked on the video. They hit play. That's on them now. That like you you signed you signed the paperwork. We're here. Um,
Mhm.
I was patiently awaiting this. I was very excited about it. I was cautiously optimistic because we know Disney Disney means family friendly. And when you watch the original Daredevil Netflix show, that did not look like something Disney would put on.
That's not
And
everybody's family,
that is nope. That's those are the people you don't invite to Thanksgiving.
right?
And that first trailer dropped. We were all impressed. The next trailer dropped, and we were like, "Can Disney pull it off?" And then the show came out, and we were all like, "Whoa! The House of Mouse did this.
Hmm.
Put this next to the Goofy movie.
Hmm.
Woo!"
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they're like right next to each other.
I do believe that you could see in the little marquee
Uh huh.
Daredevil, and then like if you scrolled past at the top, at one point in time on somebody's timeline, Goofy movie was probably up there.
Okay.
I'm just
Chat.
saying.
If you have that, put that in the
Just
chat in
saying.
the
I
drop
don't
a
know.
screenshot in the
I
comments
don't know
below.
what region you were in, but I
Yeah.
just feel like as you were scrolling the top, there was probably Daredevil, The Simpsons, and then something family friendly.
Okay. Okay. Fair
So,
enough.
so yeah, I enjoyed it, but I'm a sucker for this. I love Daredevil. I love the Punisher. Uh, so I'm gonna turn it over to you. I've been talking for about 2.5 minutes. What did you think? Because you didn't watch it when it initially came out. You watched it after the hype, and then you digested it after all the episodes. So you watched it at your leisure.
I really liked it. And I mean, just going back, brief history. I really enjoyed, for the most part, I enjoyed a lot of the Netflix Marvel stuff. I enjoyed all three seasons of Daredevil. I know some people are not as high on all three seasons, but overall, I really liked all three seasons of Daredevil. And I, but to be, how do I put this? I also enjoyed Matt Murdock being on She-Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of people are like, this isn't the way the Daredevil character is supposed to be. And I'm like, well, it's a different show, so it's a different feel. But I
Yeah.
don't feel like it betrayed Daredevil to me. Again, somebody who isn't, uh, it's not the end all be all for me for whatever. But I thought it was fun.
And you're not
Um,
an incel.
that too. Um, I thought Kingpin's portrayal in Hawkeye was a little weird. I didn't hate it, but I thought it was a little weird compared to what we had got.
The Hawaiian shirts.
Not even the Hawaiian shirt so much. Just I don't know, something seemed off about it. Thought it was a little different. In Echo, I was like, okay, where are we going with this? Um, Having seen this, I felt like they didn't lose a step at all.
Okay.
I felt like this was really good. Um, and I know this is a trope of a lot of comic book superheroes. I wish Matt's personal relationships would go better, but I know that's just a thing
Yeah.
with Daredevil. I was like,
Yeah.
man,
We're
can
not.
he not just talk to a lady and just talk to them and just communicate? I feel like a lot of problems would be solved, but
Mhm.
whatever.
Um. I I have some feelings about that, but we'll get into that when we get to spoilers. However, so if you were recommending this
Hmm.
show,
Hmm.
what would you tell a person who knows nothing about Daredevil and has only heard about it and they're like, "Hey, I'm waffling." Give them like the cliff notes of why they should watch this show.
Specifically, Born Again or like the Netflix, like the first three
Born again?
seasons.
Nope, no, no, just this version. In other words, it's on Disney. Like they're waffling. They're like they knew it was on Netflix. They're like Disney. I don't know. It's Disney. They play the Goofy movie.
Here's
Lilo
what
and
I
Stitch
would
is on
say.
there.
I do think you need to watch the original three seasons
Okay.
of this. I mean, sure, you can just pick up and watch and it'll make
Mhm.
some sense, but you really are losing a lot of the dynamics and the growth between a lot of the characters if you don't watch those first three seasons, or at
Okay.
least that first season to kind of get an establishment.
Mhm.
I think this show does a good job of kind of establishing where people are and where they are in their journey now. So many years from the Netflix show, but watching the Netflix show adds so much more character and depth to all these people, which is really important. So when people are reuniting and like, oh, this is cool, or when uh, I won't even say Daredevil, Matt Murdock breaks bad, but when Matt Murdock finally is like, okay, enough is enough. It's time to
And I'm back,
unleash some
baby.
stuff. I'm back. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
Um, but I think having watched that Netflix stuff really informs what you see in the Disney show.
Okay.
Um, but I think all the new additions in terms of like new characters. I loved everybody here. Um, I think the characters that were in the original series that aren't here, I think that was a powerful choice, and I liked it. It was like, oh, this was interesting. And once you really get into the show and to see why those characters aren't here, you're like, oh, it was for this reason. That's kind of cool. It's kind of like some mysteries that kind of show up at the beginning of this season and get answered at the end that they at one point I kind of almost thought they forgot about it, but they didn't. They were just saving it until later in the series, which I thought was cool.
Okay. Um, so we've been talking for a little while because I really want to jump into the actual show. What's your rating? What's your ranking? Um,
I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5. Uh, bad Murdoch relationships.
okay. Um, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a solid 4. Um, Bad witnesses.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, I think I think the show did a very good job of proving that Disney could tell this story. I think that the MCU, for all the talk of like, can can the MCU do TV shows and can it be good and all, like I feel like they've dispelled that talk. I believe they did a good job in like providing us like we can tell some hard stories, we can get into some things, but I do believe that I can't give it a total 5 because I feel like there were some parts that kind of just moved too quickly, and then there were some parts where it's like they dragged it out to give it a second season, to just like a lot of setup to get to this one point, and then it's like, tune in next time, Super Friends, and I was like, oh, so and we can get into that later, but I did enjoy the show. I thought the Punisher take, and we can get into this more. I was shocked, downright shocked they went there
Hmm.
because Disney and Marvel for decades have stayed away from that logo and stayed away from actually addressing the elephant in the room. And I think they took this controversy head on. I thought that was amazing. Vincent D'Onofrio, once again, no notes, brought his A game.
Hmm.
Um, I think, and this is just me. I was more intrigued by Vincent D'Onofrio's take on the Kingpin and this return than I was Matt Murdock's. Every
Hmm.
time he was on screen, I was like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And when can I get more of it? I thought he was the best part of this show. And I think that's one of the problems that a lot of shows, not just Marvel, has, that they don't do a good job of making a compelling villain. And then not only that, making the villain under where you understand the villain. Like I understood excuse me, I understand who the Kingpin was and what he was trying to do. Even though I knew he was a villain, I never for once like identified with him. But I think the Daredevil show did exactly what the Penguin show did, minus Batman.
Hmm.
I think Vincent D'Onofrio did an excellent job, and I would like to see him get all the awards like Colin Farrell did this past year, because the way he performed was amazing. I mean, it honestly to me, and I'm not an actor, but I feel like he could teach an acting class, or you could teach an acting class on how they talk about that actor chewed up the scene when he every time he walked on screen. It was this tension where you didn't know what you were going to get, but you knew it was going to be something. So, um, so if you hadn't seen it, go watch it. It's been out long enough. We're going to get into spoiler territory. We're going to talk about some of these controversies, um, and like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that button, that bell, and that notification. So, Michael, I'm going to start it off asking you:
Hmm.
do you feel like this was a great season, or do you feel it was? Because I felt it was a little rushed. There were parts like they just kind of went. There were parts that were great, and there was parts just like, oh, you just want to get to this. So I was at work one day, and I was talking. One of the guys was talking, and he brought up a point of the muse part of the show,
Hmm.
where if you could have done this as Matt Murdock, there was a way you could have done that. Why didn't you? Like, it just felt too quick for him to go from I'm gonna stay out of it, and in that same episode, it's like, oh, I found Muse. Like, I thought that was a little too quick. I thought the ending was interesting, and it was like where the rest of the show was like over several days, over several weeks. That last episode was within a few hours, if that makes sense. And I just felt like the pacing in some of the episodes was a little off. But what did you think? Because you watched it differently. I watched it week to week.
Yeah, to me, I don't know. I didn't really track that, and I'm never a good barometer for that anyway. A lot of times, if I'm not watching something, I can never really keep the timeline of stuff of when stuff happens. For a lot of shows, for me, doesn't really. I don't pay attention to it
Hmm.
unless it's overt. I thought this was fine. I do think it was in terms of pacing. I like the idea that it took a couple episodes for Matt to really put that costume back on again and become Daredevil proper.
Hmm.
I like that he was struggling with that. Um, Even from the beginning when they killed Foggy, um, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of like the pre show or the pre press stuff for the
Hmm.
show before it came out. So I didn't know that Foggy was going to die. That
I
was
don't think
interesting.
anybody did.
I think people speculated about it.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah,
I did not read that, but okay.
yeah. But again, because we were staying out of that kind of stuff for the most part, because you wanted really to be enthralled with the show. I thought that was cool because one option, and I mean potential spoilers, but in the comics, does Karen Page ever die?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. That's what
Oh,
starts his down. That's so Karen. So here's the difference, and I thought they were going to go in a different direction. So in the comics, Karen Page gets addicted to drugs,
mm-hmm,
dies, but before she dies, tells the Kingpin Matt Murdock's secret,
mm-hmm,
and Matt Murdock goes on a downward spiral, and then that's when we get to the Bendis uh, run where Kingpin knows who Daredevil is, and then they have this cat and mouse game of will he, won't he, that kind of thing. Um, but she dies, and it wrecks Matt Murdock. So I thought in this series we were going to get that. I did not see the Foggy death coming, and even to this day, I still don't think Foggy's dead.
huh,
I think Foggy is in witness protection
huh, okay,
because there is a comic storyline where Foggy supposedly dies, but he doesn't, and he wants out of this life.
Hmm.
But it's after Daredevil's identity is spoiled by Kingpin. And
Okay.
so like after all of this, so I'll give it a little bit of backstory. Bendis and is it Reminder or is it Fraction? Either way, in one of the Daredevil runs, Matt's Murdoch's identity is released, and then he has to spend all this time trying to convince people he's not Daredevil. Because like there's this time where he's just like this, he embraces it, and then he literally goes to jail for being Daredevil, and everybody knows his secret identity. And there's this, and I don't know the exact timeline, but basically all this stuff, Foggy's like, I've had enough. And Foggy gets killed. And then Matt finds him in witness protection. He's been there for a while. And it's like, and they kind of, and they're not friends because Matt's upset that you basically faked your own death to get away from me. And Foggy's like, drama follows you everywhere you go. I've been threatened, I've been stabbed, shot, all this stuff. And he's like, I just want out. I want a normal life. And then eventually Foggy comes back into the fold. But
Hmm.
that's where I'm like, I really expected Karen to get two pieced.
Hmm.
I really expected that double tap. I thought that first episode was amazing when he just pushed him off the
Hmm.
roof. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this is that motherfucker I want to see.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, I This gives me hope that maybe we will get the Defenders again. We'll get another some more Luke Cage. We'll get Jessica Jones. We even get Danny Rand and Iron Fist. I want them all to come back and do a proper Defender show, um, with more with Disney and Kevin Feige behind it, and not was that
Hmm.
Jeff Loeb, I guess, when he was the EP or the executive producer of Marvel Television.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just the show, it felt, and I've heard other people talk about it, but they're like, oh, this, I could see like this being a New York show, kind of like the Netflix show did too. But
Yeah,
this New York definitely felt like a character in the show. Um,
definitely.
I really liked uh, John Bernthal's amazing in everything that he does.
Hmm.
Seeing him come back here, and I feel like we get a little more depth with him in terms of when Karen Page is like, "Oh, you did answer my call." It's like, I did, and then once she leaves, he kind of says like, "You guys, good luck" or whatever. You can kind of see him. He does care for people, even though he has that tough exterior. Um, it was just nice to see him, and I love the chemistry between him and Red, as he calls him, for Daredevil or whatever,
Yeah.
Matt Murdock.
Um, so I want to talk about that a little bit, and I'm looking for the because I have this picture saved, so I definitely want to I want to read it. But I was shocked, downright shocked. I tell you that they touched on the actual um, and forgive me, I'm still looking for it, so bear with me. There's a line in one of the Daredevil comics that I want to I want to talk about. I'm actually shocked that they did the whole. Here it is. That's not it. Oh man, I thought I had it. Um, so for decades, Marvel has stayed away from this idea of who the Punisher is, and we have seen this image of the Punisher skull being co-opted by the military. We've seen it co-opted by law enforcement. Um, American Sniper, um, uh, Chris Kyle talks about his unit being Punishers. Um, I Gary Conway, who is the creator, one of the creators of the Punisher, has tried to retake the actual image and basically say this is not for you. So I was really shocked that they leaned into it, and I thought that was I was honestly impressed
Hmm.
um, that they actually tackled that subject matter, and they didn't go as far as I would have liked, but I did find it interesting that he was disgusted with these people who took on his mantle, and they were like idolizing him, and he's like, And the reason why I was looking for is like there's a Matthew Rosenberg. I want to say I believe it's him. Punisher Volume 3. But basically, there are two cops that he runs into who are like, we want to be just like you. And basically, the Punisher looks at these two guys and says, if you do cross that line, I'll be coming for you. It's this idea that he understands that I am a cautionary tale. And it goes back to that idea. Do you know you're insane? Are you insane if you know you're insane? And so he's basically telling these guys, your job is to protect and serve. You are guardians of the community. I am an executioner. I am the last resort. And
Hmm.
even what I do is probably not right. But you cannot be me. And if you step outside that line and become me, then you are fair game to me.
Hmm.
And so I thought that was very interesting that Marvel took that approach in the comics, but that's been years. And recently, like right now, there is no Punisher comic being printed. There's no ongoing series. The last Punisher, Frank Castle, if you read the last, it's a 12 issue mini. Frank Castle is you reunited with his wife and kids by because he becomes the leader of the Hand. You know that ninja death cult that Daredevil's always fighting.
Hmm.
Frank Castle becomes the leader of the Hand because they bring his family back because the Hand recognizes that Frank Castle is the living embodiment of death.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna spoil the end of the comic for those people. It's a 12 issue mini. It's a great comic. Basically, Marvel put a bookend on Frank Castle. There is a new Punisher miniseries that was 6 issues of a guy who basically has on some body armor who's a shield agent, and his family is killed, and they believe he's the Punisher. They call him the Punisher, but he is not the Punisher. That's it. So I thought it was very interesting in the MCU that they took on this idea that the Punisher isn't necessarily a good guy. He is, but you shouldn't idolize him. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Um, when you said you wanted them to go further, like what did you want?
I wanted the condemnation. I didn't want the regular Frank Barenthal, or I said Frank Barenthal, John Barenthal, just grunts and stuff. I wanted I wanted what I had in that comic, and I was
Hmm.
looking for it because I literally have it saved somewhere on my phone. This panel where he has this conversation with cops. I wanted that, and so they didn't go that far, but I did like the rebuke and basically just the disdain of seeing these cops who have. I mean, you saw them with the neck tattoos,
Hmm.
like, and I enjoyed that part of it. I wanted it to be a little clearer, like not just like this nod and the wink wink. I wanted the condemnation. I wanted him to say it out loud. You know, I'm quite sure there's some people who are like, he did say that. And it's like, no. When you read the comic and you realize how far in depth he goes, I wanted a little bit more of that.
Okay. So was any besides like the pacing, anything else that you didn't like about the show?
Did like that Muse went out so quickly. Like he was behind the scenes. I didn't like how quickly he went out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't. I I would have liked to have seen more. So we saw the swordsman. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of like the MCU denizens. I love the Kamala Khan's dad episode.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I thought that was fun. I wanted to see more things like that, like little things peppered throughout the series that shows this connection to the MCU. We got
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of it. I know we can't use Spider Man and Peter Parker and all that other stuff, but I would have liked to have seen maybe like a card from Jessica Jones's, here, uh, detective agency. Just little things sprinkled throughout. And I also realized they don't know how they plan to use this stuff, but some of those Easter eggs would have been cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Where do you think it goes for season two?
oh, we definitely get into Defenders.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we're going to get that iteration. I don't know if we're going to get like, but we're definitely he's definitely going to amass an army. The question is, does White Tiger's niece take over.
Hmm.
How far in the future does this show hop? Like,
Sure.
is this weeks, months? Like, is this a year? Like, I don't know in the MCU timeline when all this stuff happens. When you talked about the century and like the blackout, like when does all of this happen?
Right.
Um, I do wonder. So I do believe we'll get a version of the Defenders, if not Luke Cage. I believe we're going to get some of those people back. I personally would love to see Colleen Wing. I'd love to see the Daughters of the Dragon. Um, so I do believe we're going to get that. I do wonder how far out Barenthal's Punisher one shot will be, or his
Hmm.
little movie like Werewolf by Night, where that falls along with season two of Born Again. So, like, what comes first?
Hmm.
Uh, I also would like to know more about um, does Vanessa become that? Does right now the Kingpin is running the city the way he wants to? He has
Hmm.
he has the police force. He has the ports where he's doing his thing. Does Vanessa and him run crime together, or does he play it as if he's not the Kingpin, and Vanessa goes back to running the illicit activities where he's just the public face of it?
Hmm.
And he's like, "You do whatever you've been doing, great. Keep doing it. I'm just the public face." And he has this wall guard, and I'd like to see more of that because I think they are an interesting couple. The whole
Hmm.
counseling thing I thought was amazing. Um, I think Matt Murdock picks some beautiful women who are have something wrong with him, and somehow he finds the beautiful woman with something wrong with her, and he falls madly in love because this one, woo, there's something wrong with this lady.
Um, Interesting. Why do you say there's something wrong with her?
Because the fact that she cannot see, with all of her degrees and all of her education, that the kingpin is the kingpin,
Yeah.
that to me shows a sign of flawed character, so to speak. But I will say that I don't know if you picked up on it, but I really picked up on because there are comic parallels because of course the Kingpin does become mayor of New York, but the mayor he becomes mayor of New York after, and they actually said this in the comic or when they were writing the comics, they were influenced by Donald Trump becoming president,
Hmm.
and I saw the similarities in the two. You probably more so than me because you were in the newsroom when he was running the second time, and you could literally see some of those parallels of them using the way Trump operated and carried himself to the way Vincent D'Onofrio carried himself as the kingpin. I
Yeah.
definitely saw some of those parallels, and the loyalty and allegiance that the president demands and what he's asking of people. I saw that in this series. It
Okay.
was it was obvious to me. I don't know if it was obvious to you.
No, no. I mean, we talked about it in our Grand Theft Auto reaction, but just when we were talking about different things, mirroring real life. Yeah, sometimes it can kind of be hard to watch stuff. It's like, oh man, this is kind of just real life. I kind of wanted to get away from it, but it's around us no matter where we go.
Um, what did you think of the courtroom scenes and like because I know a lot of people there were some criticisms online and people were like I didn't like that and it's like then you don't like Daredevil um because
What
we
what didn't they like?
they so there so I'm on threads not on Twitter but I saw people the conversations about people were like the lawyer scenes went too long for them or they didn't like them and I just for
Oh,
you
I
how
thought they
did you
were fine. I liked them, but I mean,
okay
I kind of like that kind of stuff. I like a good courtroom drama, so to me that was fine. Um, I feel I think it's interesting that Matt kind of broke the guy's trust. Like, okay, I won't reveal this, but then he kind of did it anyway. And I wonder if that's ever going to come back. Because we talked about the niece now. Maybe she would take over White Tiger. I wonder if that's ever going to come back. Where he's like, I mean, you got him off, but at the same time, when you had his identity revealed, it made him an easier target. Um, I just wonder if that's something Matt's going to have to wrestle with.
Mm, I think he's going to wrestle with it. The question is, can he be trusted? And that like that's to me that's the bigger question. Can not only can you because he won the case. There's
Hmm.
no mistake. He won the case. Now the white oh boy went back out as the white tiger, which got him murked. Um, but the question is, excuse me, what's your reputation now?
Hmm.
Because you saw the prosecutor's office was like, you argued against this, and then you used it, and then he had to go back to the white tiger and was like, hey man, we was losing. I had to do it. Like, what is your reputation going forward? And I would like to know: does he hide in season 2 as Daredevil? Like, does he not resurface as Matt Murdock? And does the Kingpin release that Matt Murdock is Daredevil in his crusade to get rid of vigilantes? Like, I'm more interested in that dynamic going forward because the Kingpin knows he is Matt Murdock and Daredevil.
Hmm.
Who else does he tell?
Right.
Because so far he hasn't let anybody else know.
Yeah.
Vanessa knows. Does he tell his?
That was a great scene with them dancing
Mm-hmm.
with Murdoch dancing with Vanessa and then the girlfriend dancing with Kingpin, and they're playing back different parts of conversations and stuff. It was all shot very well. That penultimate episode was really good.
Um, Again, I Vincent D'Onofrio to me, no notes. I felt like he was killing the game. I thought. Um, I'm trying to look for her name right now. She also played Kal El's mother in Man of Steel. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Is Israeli actress, maybe Iranian
yes,
actress, something.
yes, she's Israeli. Um, where's her name? I cannot find it. Um, Ayelet Zaror.
Hmm.
I apologize, I butchered that. But yeah, um, I thought she was great. Um, Once again, Deborah Ann Woll does a great good job as Karen Page, and I root against her every season. Um, Michael Gandolfini as Daniel Blake. I When I tell you the whole time I'm watching the two of them, you know what I'm thinking.
The two of who?
Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin and Daniel Blake played by Michael Gandolfini.
Oh, what are you thinking?
I don't know if you didn't see if you saw it, but I'm thinking that's Trump and JD Vance.
Hmm. Interesting.
like,
Okay.
I was like, that's just the two of them. And I thought BB Urik's niece or his daughter, I'm trying to remember, um,
Niece.
niece.
Yeah.
By I thought I'm interested to see what she does going forward
Hmm.
because I did like Gandolfini's nudge nudge wink wink, and then the carrot and the stick with the media. I
Hmm.
thought that was a very interesting take, and I'd love to see that because we know that kind of happens in the real world. We do know that there are people who use the media on to advance their agenda. Um, so I did enjoy that relationship that we saw. I do want to see what happens going forward in season 2 once they've exerted total control over New York.
Hmm.
How does she fit in? And I'd like to see where Daredevil's, I'm guessing, X, how she plays into this because I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought for the longest she was going to turn into Typhoid Mary.
Oh, interesting.
I was expecting after the
Well,
whole
didn't we already have it? Didn't that person already exist in the universe?
N- no, I don't think so. And you know what? Let me type this in. I don't believe we got Typhoid Mary in the MCU.
Oh, I'm thinking of somebody else. Never mind. I can't think of her name. Who's the character that Alice Eve played in MCU or in
Alice Eve.
yeah, she was in Iron Fist. No, she was Typhoid Mary.
She was
Yeah, I believe
in
so.
in what season?
Second season.
Ah, see, I didn't watch the
No,
second season.
sorry. Is Mary Walker the same as Typhoid Mary?
Um,
Comic book
yes,
man. Okay, then yes, she
yes.
played Typhoid Mary in the second season of Iron Fist.
See, I did not watch the second season. I
Okay,
barely got through that first season.
yeah, there we go.
See, so thank you for saying that, but I did not know that because I the whole time I'm expecting because I love her character in the comics, so
Hmm.
I really wanted her to be Typhoid Mary, but I stand corrected. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think my favorites one of my favorite scenes was coffee shop. Um, I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed seeing him back and seeing the conversation with the counselor. Like I thought that was just
Sing
so
who back?
D'Onofrio, like
Oh,
back
okay.
like I like the journey he's taken. You talked about how he seemed different and off in Hawkeye and Echo.
Hmm.
To me, this kind of justified why he was weird in those parts because I felt like he had lost himself, so to speak. So
Hmm.
he was weird and he wasn't himself. And this explains why he was so different and off. Um, so I like that. I'd like to see more. I don't know what uh, that character does going forward now that she's no longer dating Matt. And does he still like, does Kingpin still have use for her? Like outside of just tormenting Matt?
I mean,
Um,
he hired her.
he hired her, but like he hired her knowing who she was. But if she's no longer with Matt,
Hmm.
has she outlived her usefulness? Like I said, I have so many questions because, and that's why I said I really enjoyed the show. Um, I watched it. Now, here's my question to you: will you now watch it week to week when it comes back? Or are you still gonna do?
It just depends on what I got going on in my life at the time. For me, it was just easier just to let it all kind of build up at once and just watch it
Mhm.
whenever I wanted to. Because I, I've been spoiled by Netflix and being able to binge something all at once. So having to watch two episodes here and there, and then wait for the next episode to come out, kind of sucks. So I like the idea of watching it all together.
What did you think of the violence? Because we've talked about this a little bit before, but we have not talked about like the Kingpin crushed a man with his bare hands.
Yeah, he does it all the time.
Yeah, but that was different on Disney Plus. Like,
See,
and
you keep thinking about Disney Plus like it's family. I'm
no,
past
no,
that now.
like I guess I'm not past it because like this is different. All the other stuff that they've added onto Disney Plus is stuff that they did not make, if that makes sense. So in other words, when them bringing on aliens and all the and other franchises, Disney didn't make those.
Hmm.
Disney made this.
Sure.
And that's the difference for me for this. Disney and in conjunction with the MCU made this. This wasn't something that was made before. They brought it in to build out their roster of shows. They went into it with saying, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to crush a man's skull with our bare hands. That's to me where I said the delineation is totally different. And to me, this changes what I think the MCU can do going forward, and which really opens the door to what they're going to do with this Punisher one shot going forward.
Yeah, to me that didn't. I didn't take any special notice of the fact that this happened on Disney Plus thing. I'm just like, okay,
Interesting.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'm just like to me, Kevin Feige's like, I want to make something good. If it needs to be violent, it gets the okay.
Uh, that's what I said. I guess it just to me it opens the door to more stuff. Like I'm really interested to see now what they do in season two and who they bring on, and what these next MCU shows brings when it comes to some of these street level or more violent characters.
Hmm.
So, but I think that's it. I mean, there's more probably more stuff we could have covered. I just want to say I was very impressed with this show. I going forward, this sets a very high bar.
Hmm.
We the next show that's coming out, I think it's Ironheart,
I don't think
and
it's going to hit like this.
I don't think it's going to hit like this. I don't because I don't think it can. I think there's it's a brand new IP. This has three like this show is over 10 years old. The original show I think debuted in 2015, and this is people have been clamoring for this, but I do believe that this sets a different bar going forward. Um, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I like Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, so it was really good to see him back.
Hmm.
Outside of that little clip that we got from him in No Way Home,
Yeah, and She
was that
Hulk.
in She? Yep, yep. So yeah,
Yeah,
well,
wrap this up.
uh, well, party people, we're gonna wrap this up. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what your favorite scenes from Daredevil was. If you've watched it, let us know what your thought process is going for season two. Do you agree with some of the stuff we said? Or you think we're full of shit? Um, I'll I'll talk to you in the comments.
There we go. Hit the bell, and then we put up more stuff.
Yep,
He'll talk to you. Till next
I
time.
will. Yep,
We're out.
we're out.